Guilty as charged. Which brings us back to the essence of the whole go yourselves piece. You have no principle about this. You're just trying to score points in a game that no one else is playing.
Meghan Markle just got humiliated by Jon Stewart live on The Daily Show. He torched her entire brand, calling her a founder who performs like a failed influencer.
Hey, girl. Down on your luck. You get a podcast, you can still terrorize people.
Netflix is done, Hollywood's backing off, and somehow she's still out here forcing a second season of that lemon cake cooking show disaster.
She's gearing up for a second season. I can't wait. With Love Meghan was released in March, picked up for a second series. I have no idea why. Anyway, she shared a short clip that didn't make it in from the first 8:33 minute.
Are they elitist or unsophisticated? Or unsophisticated in their elitism?
Meghan Markle really thought she could walk into American media and outsmart Jon Stewart? Bless her delusional little heart. Let's talk about the exact moment she completely lost the plot. Because this wasn't just a bad press day. This was an absolute public execution. And Jon Stewart didn't just bring the guillotine. He polished it, sharpened it, and invited a live audience to enjoy the spectacle.
Shut up! You don't really care. You don't really care about this.
So there's Jon Stewart casually back at The Daily Show, smiling like he already knows the internet's about to have a field day. And what does he do? He calls Meghan Markle a mini Brigitte Macron. You know, the French First Lady known for brushing off her husband's hand like he's a bothersome mosquito, which is terrible.
A fox, but only because they're terrible. Like sometimes almost shockingly terrible.
And Stewart doesn't stop there. He hits her with the line that will probably echo in Meghan's nightmares. She's great at slapping her man into place. The crowd absolutely loses it, roaring, clapping. Meanwhile, back in Montecito, Meghan's team is probably tossing their kombucha across the room and lighting their PR crisis candles. He also slams her hard for fake chanting about patriotism.
Show respect, so you and all your false patriotism.
According to insiders, she called the joke sexist and humiliating. But let's be honest, Jon Stewart has built a reputation as one of the smartest progressive voices on TV. If he's roasting you, girl, it's not a petty jab. It's because even your own audience is tired of pretending your branding isn't held together by quinoa, buzzwords, and a staged smile.
That's the caveat we were missing. Remind her she has an expiration date now.
And the memes? Oh, Twitter wasted 0 seconds. Meghan edited into clips brushing off Harry like a random staff member, captions like boss babes or bossy babes. It was a bloodbath. You couldn't scroll 3 posts without seeing her name, followed by a punchline. But if you thought the Macron comparison was bad, wait till we walk through Meghan's most embarrassing failure of all time, Confessions of a Female Founder.
The latest bit from her podcast, which is called Confessions of a Female Founder.
We have an exciting announcement.
Oh yes, the podcast that was supposed to show the world her brain and ended up exposing her entire brand as fluff on a stick. This show didn't even crawl into relevance. It belly flopped straight out of Apple's top 200 and slid off Spotify's top 100 in a matter of days. Not weeks, days.
Milestones for my own business with As Ever. I mean, Netflix coming on as my business partner, huge. Just having a global powerhouse that believed in me and the site selling out.
And get this, listeners didn't even make it past the 30-minute mark. That's shorter than the time it takes to make quinoa, which is probably one of the 500 things she name-dropped in those dull episodes. Stewart didn't spare this disaster either. He said it wasn't a podcast about female founders. It was about a founding female.
The reaction was instant. Twitter, or whatever we're calling it now, blew up. Memes popped up within minutes.
And he was right. You couldn't make it through a single episode without rolling your eyes at how staged and sanitized everything sounded. It wasn't raw, it wasn't honest. It was Meghan, sitting in her mansion, pretending she built an empire because she sold 20 jars of jam and married a guy with a royal title.
And I love how she's like, we sold out in 45 minutes. Meanwhile, not said is, what was the inventory like? Honestly,
Right, that's
like,
what I was
for all I know,
wondering,
she
too.
had 20 jars of jam and 20 of her weird popcorn things. I have no idea. It's not necessarily a sign of success that you sold out in 45 minutes. I have no idea what your inventory was.
We expected a little better.
Even New York University business professors chimed in. One told Forbes the whole thing was just branding masquerading as empowerment. No grit, no realism, just gloss and ego wrapped in soft lighting. Honestly, the podcast felt like one long voice note from someone trying to convince you she's relatable, while sitting in a multi-million-dollar estate sipping oat milk lattes.
Someone who's also acting as a founder inspired this scene from the With Love Meghan MEGYN. Maureen and I, before we did Blonde Origin, Link, we did an acting gig without you in our debut movie.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Now onto the biggest joke of all. At Home with Meghan. Ah, yes. The Netflix cooking show that was so bad, even Pinterest would reject it for being too fake. The thing got kicked out of Netflix's top 10 faster than you can say pre-screened celebrity guest. I mean, this show was supposed to be cozy and real. Instead, we got Meghan in a designer apron baking gluten-free lemon cakes while casually throwing out feminist slogans like she's hosting a TED Talk in her kitchen. And Jon is still figuring out what this clueless woman actually wants to do in her life.
The Department of Justice found that the Flashpoint incident for protests did not happen the way some thought. Although in this second report, they did also document.
The Guardian didn't hold back. They straight up called it vapid lifestyle propaganda. Variety said it was a Goop knockoff with no flavor. But the best review came from Twitter, where a tweet with over 200,000 likes called it exactly what it was. A hostage situation with expensive lighting. That's not even a joke. That's a warning label. Viewers weren't watching to learn how to cook. They were hate-watching, screenshotting, and meme-making.
Meghan watches TikToks where you watch something accomplished in 15 seconds and then tries to stretch it out for a 45-minute episode.
Because, let's be real, Meghan thought her name alone would carry this show to the top. But in 2025, people want real, not overly curated nonsense with soft music, candlelit countertops, and food no one actually eats. Slate called it glossy narcissism in HD, and that's probably the kindest way to describe it. Every single frame felt like an audition for a role that no one asked her to play.
But here's the thing. The anger is still there. The people couldn't move on.
And while she was busy plating lemon drizzle cakes and telling us how much she loves Harry's heart, the world was gagging on the inauthenticity. It's like watching someone perform authenticity with a teleprompter in their eyes. And now, she's out here pretending all this was a success? 3 disasters in a row. Podcast tanked, cooking show mocked, lifestyle brand invisible, and she still thinks she's the next Oprah? She needs to apologize to people.
Wouldn't it be nice if people who jump to conclusions and peddled a false, divisive, anger-stoking narrative had to apologize?
Sorry, Meghan, but when Jon Stewart turns your brand into comedy gold, you don't get a redemption arc. You get turned into content. And this wasn't just a takedown. It was a funeral procession, and your public image was in the casket. Meghan Markle thought she was launching a luxury empire. What she actually launched? A glittery Instagram page and a few jars of overpriced jam.
American Riviera Orchard is in another mark of trademark hell, as the brand continues to struggle to even get off the ground. And as time goes on, this gets more and more perilous for Meghan Markle.
Welcome to the American Riviera Orchard, where the aesthetics are soft focus, the launch plan is missing, and the only thing actually delivered was mediocrity in mason jars. Seriously, the entire brand rollout looked like someone Googled cottagecore branding and hit shuffle.
This is just another example of what a horrible businesswoman Meghan Markle.
No website, no pricing, no launch date, just 50 jars of jam, yes, actual jam, sent to a few celebrity friends who probably tossed it next to their unopened CBD skincare collabs. This isn't entrepreneurship, this is a parody of it.
A little bit since I've checked. It's at 608,000 followers, so she's actually lost followers through this entire process because she has nothing.
A professor from NYU even called the brand a Pinterest mood board with Meghan's name slapped on it. Ouch. And they weren't wrong. This wasn't a company, it was a vibe, and not even a good one.
But a blank Instagram page and a blank website, collecting a bit of data from the website and then not doing a thing with it for 8 months.
One business insider went so far as to describe working with Meghan as managing a press release in human form. Translation? Everything's about the image, nothing's about the substance. And when you're trying to convince the world you're a lifestyle mogul, that's not just a problem, it's a death sentence.
I maybe wouldn't have done that, but she's had a long track record of good launches. I've bought a lot of her stuff.
Even Hollywood has started to flinch. According to producers, Meghan's whole leadership approach is less CEO with a vision and more influencer who just discovered Canva. One executive even said she brings influencer energy, not executive strategy. Which makes sense, because real execs build supply chains. Meghan builds soft-lit montages of fruit baskets.
Utterly and completely backwards is that she launched the brand, made it splashy, sent her friends jam with a logo that she may not be able to trademark. Like, it's just the sheer level of stupidity here is like really, really hard to underestimate.
But let's not forget who's been dragged along for this entire wild ride. Prince Harry, aka Meghan's unpaid handbag model. Jon Stewart didn't hold back. He roasted Harry as an unemployed immigrant carrying his wife's handbag at charity dinners. That wasn't just funny, it was brutally accurate. Remember when Harry was the rebellious prince? The guy who walked away from the monarchy? Now he's being referred to as a background character in his own Netflix special, and nobody is sympathizing with him anymore.
They're terrible. Like sometimes almost shockingly terrible.
Critics are saying Harry now looks like a security guard in a tux. And they're not exaggerating. Watch any recent event. They'll show you Meghan at the mic, making speeches about empowerment, while Harry stands behind her clapping like a supportive PA. And when he does speak, it's either overly rehearsed or painfully awkward.
It's very painful when families are ripped apart and brothers are not talking to each other. Do you think this book was already in the process? Do you think he might be regretting this?
He might well be regretting it, but it's too late.
His memoir, Spare, was supposed to reclaim his voice. Instead, it read like a therapy diary stapled to a PR crisis kit. One critic called it a tabloid overshare with footnotes. Another said it was the literary equivalent of a group chat venting session.
We will hear Harry's voice in the way, no doubt, he wants us to. But ultimately, in terms of the shock factor, I'm just not sure we're there anymore.
And that's exactly why Stewart's punchlines landed so hard. It wasn't just comedy, it was commentary. He held up a mirror to what the public had already started to see. The Sussex fairy tale is starting to rot at the core. What used to be seen as bold independence now just feels like a highly scripted branding campaign that's gone way off the rails.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now. You have kids, and you go, no, I share my name with my children.
But the real red flag in this whole mess, it's not the jam. It's not even the handbags. It's who's laughing. Meghan's brand was built for liberals, for progressives, feminists, the woke crowd who cheered when she and Harry left the royal family. But now, Jon Stewart, the king of progressive comedy, tore her apart. And the worst part? The same audience that once defended her was cheering. That is career-ending energy.
Prove something. To prove that you're enough. You have to prove that you're pretty enough. You have to prove that you're smart enough. You prove that you're a good wife or a good friend. And I was like, I am just so done with the prove it game.
Jon can't help himself but laugh. This isn't Piers Morgan foaming at the mouth. This is Jon Stewart calmly dismantling her with scalpel-like precision, and the fallout has been brutal. Netflix execs, who once shelled out millions to fund her content pipeline, are now reportedly furious. According to insiders from The Wrap and the New York Post, the platform is quietly reassessing their Sussex investment, which is PR code for she's on the chopping block.
Well, before Meghan Markle married Prince Harry, millions of people knew her as an actress.
Now she's officially become a podcaster. The first episode featured a good friend and special guest. CTV's Andrea Case listened to the debut episode and joins us now.
And just when you think the cooking show disaster is over, guess what Meghan's pitching now? Season 2. Yes. After being clowned by critics, mocked on social media, and essentially turned into meme bait, Meghan is pushing for a sequel to her lemon cake hostage situation. Critics are calling it culinary suicide. And honestly, that's being generous. This isn't a comeback. It's a delusion.
And so this is the thing. Meghan Markle is only now surrounded by people who will tell her what she wants to hear. And so again, the level of delusion.
It's like she genuinely believes the audience missed something. We didn't. We got the whole thing. Gluten-free cakes, pre-screened guests, and absolutely no soul. It was never about the food. It was about the brand. And when your brand is that hollow, it doesn't matter how many lemons you slice on camera. People aren't coming back for seconds.
They are essentially putting all their eggs in one basket. The only thing they have going for them that could potentially, you could say, make a decent amount of change.
And now we reach the most embarrassing part of all this. Meghan Markle's media empire isn't collapsing from scandal. It's collapsing from sheer irrelevance. 3 flops, 0 wins. You couldn't script a more tragic fall if you tried. Jon Stewart described her perfectly. She talks like a founder, performs like a failed influencer. That line hit harder than any tabloid ever could, because it came from someone with actual cultural weight. He also roasted her for her false racial claims and playing a victim card.
So you guys are finally ready to talk about racial reckoning.
Authenticity was always Meghan's selling point, but now every smile looks like it's rehearsed in the mirror. Every tear feels like it's been tested in focus groups. Every project smells like it was pitched in a pitch deck to boardrooms, not born from anything remotely real. And the public? They're done pretending. No one's buying the fairy tale anymore.
She just keeps wiping and wiping and wiping, so we think she has a heart.
Meghan's entire strategy relied on one thing: controlling the narrative. But when you lose control of how people feel about you, it doesn't matter what you post on Instagram. You can't PR your way out of cultural fatigue. And that's where we are now. The audience isn't angry, they're just over it. And in media, that's fatal. Outrage keeps you trending. Boredom buries you. Meghan isn't being canceled, she's being ignored. And that's the real legacy of this empire of hype. She overpromised, underdelivered, and now the world's not even mad. They're just turning the channel.